Hello, hello, all my fine YouTube friends. It's the Prof, and I'm back on YouTube. Can you imagine? It has been a minute. I hope that this is going out live and you can see and hear me okay. If you can't, let me know. This is a live show, but you are more than welcome to leave a comment after this as well. Thought I'd give everybody an update about what's been going on with me. And kind of fill you in on all that good stuff, and hopefully hear from some of you too, some of my old time viewers. It's been at least probably 2 or 3 months since I've been on, so let's just make sure we're live and up. And let me just check the stream here, make sure we're good. You can hear me okay? Let me know in the chat if you don't mind, just saying, hey, it sounds all right. Yes, there is some music in the background. Very high tech here on the Prof Sales channel. Long time no see. Yes, you are correct. I am still around. I'm still alive and kicking, to quote a Simple Minds song. Good song, by the way. Yeah, so welcome back to the channel if you haven't been here a while. Linda says, where have you been? I've been right here. Well, not right here, but I've been here in Wilmington. I've still been in the online space. For those of you who've been following me, I've still been selling on Amazon and a little tiny bit on eBay, very little. But yeah, I'm still around, and I just want to fill you guys in on what's going on. Nothing terrible, nothing bad, so don't get alarmed. But it's been, like I said, a couple months. And probably maybe even close to 3 months. And a bunch of things have happened since the last time I've been on. Obviously, I've continued to sell on Amazon, as well as I mentioned, a little bit of eBay, but mostly probably 99.5% Amazon at this point. So very little eBay. I have a little bit of eBay stuff here and there, but nothing really to speak of. So that's really been my focus. And the other big focus I've had is developing an online arbitrage leads list, as some of you may know. That has taken quite a bit of my time and energy, but it has been really, really rewarding. So I'm going to talk about that. And then just living life, right? And everything's been good here. Karen's good. And for those of you who still love and miss Karen, which she should get back on this channel, I don't know what's taking her so long. And we, of course, got a puppy. I think I've shown that on the channel before. The puppy is now a year old, and she is awesome and spoiled rotten, as she should be, right? She'll probably make an appearance here at some point during this broadcast, would be my guess, because she tends to walk in at the most inopportune moments, as dogs tend to do, and need something. But yeah, so let's talk about Amazon first, I guess. So I'm going to try to share a screen share, if I can. And let's see where I can get it here. Okay, that's not working. Oh, I think I have to put it over here. Okay. All right, let me move this to here. Okay, so I'm going to try to share my screen and show you some sales that I've had this year and so on. Let's see. I guess I need to change this to year to date, don't I? Yeah, so this is, I hope that screen's not gonna, okay, good. I think we're good. All right. Yes, we're good. Okay. So if I add this, we should be able to see it. Okay. So yeah, this is my year to date on Amazon. I've sold, top line number here, 37,600. Not a lot, honestly. I mean, my trailing 12 months is now over 100K that I'm doing on Amazon. And I'm going to do well over 100K this year for sure. But I'd like that to be a little bit higher. I would have hoped to have been more around 45 or even 50 at this point. But to be perfectly honest, I can't really complain. Average sale of 4370, which I think is pretty good. And a total of 903 units. You can see sort of my sales, last year and this year. This year so far, it's actually I'm ahead of last year for sure because I had a huge month in January with 15K compared to last January in 2021 when it was only $2,600. So I had a big Q5, they call it, right? As you go into January. Sometimes you get a lot of sales on Amazon on January. But then it's kind of tailored off. Similar type of progression, I guess, from last year, where you had this, where I had a January, and then this one kind of was more than last year for sure, but it definitely was a big drop in January, February, and March was, kind of a comparable drop. So yeah, but I am happy with it, I guess. I mean, what choice do I have but to be happy with it, right? Sales and orders by month. Let's see if I can get this to show up. Yeah, all right. So in the last 6 months, you can see I did like 11.9 in December. And then January was actually bigger at 14.3, which was my biggest month on Amazon. And then, an okay month in February, 7,700. Then a big drop in March. And then a little bit of pop up in April. I think May is going to end up being probably close to March's number at the rate I'm going. But I have changed a few things that are, I think, helping and kind of good food for thought for all of you if you're into, kind of figuring out from your metrics and so on what you're doing. One big thing that I've been doing, I'm going to stop sharing this. One big thing that I've been doing is I've really been focusing on selling a bit higher dollar items. And I've also been focusing on selling higher dollar items that, how can I put this? There's not a lot of competition. It could even be that there was a listing and then it's been out of stock for a while and then it came back. So this is a tricky thing. And I don't think a lot of people talk about this type of sourcing. For those of you who know, we'll talk about the online arbitrage lead list here in a moment, but I've been sourcing a decent bit from 888 Lots. For those of you who know, 888 Lots partners with Amazon. They take items that people are no longer going to sell on the platform, package them up, not even package them up, they just have the ability to sell them, and then they ship them often directly from Amazon to you. And those 88 Lots items are usually one-offs for items that are not as popular. There's a lot of single items that 88 Lots sells that don't have a great sales rank or haven't sold much lately, or maybe don't even have a sales rank, quit tracking it. And then there's also a bunch of bulk items too that people are like, oh, I sent in 400 of these, but only 100 sold, so I want to dump these 300. There's those too. And I've dabbled in some of that. I've had a couple big buys. I've had, I have one item I bought 134 of. It was a clothing item that was selling a couple hundred a month, it looks like. And I've definitely sold a bunch of them, but I haven't sold through them for sure. So that's going to take a while. So that's something to keep in mind if you're buying bulk. And then I had another one that I bought. I want to say I bought about 60 of them. And I think I've sold almost all of those. I've been pretty happy with that one. They're not like great, huge profit numbers, but they're just steady. And all that I had to do was 100 came in at one time for one of them. I mean, I put out 100 labels in the inventory lab and boom, stick them on there and they're done. They all went to the same warehouse. I sent them to the warehouse in the same box they came to me in, so I didn't even have to use a box. It was actually 3 boxes. And they were already polybagged. So I didn't even, with suffocation warnings. So I didn't have to do anything. Oh, there you see the dog. Yep, she's gonna come walk around. So, hey, little Raina. Sorry, she's sniffing in the closet. Hey. So, it was super easy. I literally just had to put the F and SKU label over the barcode, which is the outside of the package, and boom, off they went. Super easy. So that's a nice thing about 88 Lots. A lot of their stuff comes in from Amazon, so it's already ready to go. Sometimes there's F and SKU labels still on it, so you just have to put yours over it, and you're good. So I did focus on some bulk buys, but I've also been focusing on, selling higher dollar items, looking for one-offs on that site that were, items that'll sell for like $100, $150, $200, $300. I sold a $400, oh gosh, what was it? 440, 450 pair of ski overalls from a good brand that, I found a few of those on there before. Not all of them are great, but there was nobody selling it, and no one had been selling it for like 6 months. But the sales record on Keepa said, "Hey, this item is going to sell for like $450," and it did. I can't remember what I paid for it. I think I paid about $180. So it was a risk, but it definitely paid off. It didn't sit too long. It sat for maybe a month, and then it sold. So I was pretty happy about that. I would have let it sit for a year at that price, for sure. But I think 88 Lots is a good place to find one-offs. You've got to dig through a whole bunch of them, so you got to have a good system. You got to have a good eye for it. You're going to eliminate 95% of them without ever even looking at them. But I think it can be useful to find good high-dollar items. It can also be useful to find quantity items. I did get one of the mixed lots off of there. Not super impressed. But there was a lot of just kind of junk in it. They threw stuff together, I think. There were a few items that sold, but I made my money back and maybe a little profit, but it honestly wasn't worth it for what I made and the amount of risk I had to take. So maybe your experience would be different. But that's kind of what I've been focusing on this year. I'm doing virtually no RA right now. I really should. I probably should find a little bit because RA has a little bit better margins for sure, but I'm not doing any RA for right now. And that's just because, I don't know about y'all, but I don't know. I guess I'm a little lazy with this stuff. I love it just coming to the door. It just shows up at your house and boom, you're ready. You've got it. You can get it in the door, break it open, make sure it's good to go, package it up, bag it up if you need to, stick a label when you're done. You don't have to go shop anywhere. You don't have to drill any dry holes. Like, you ordered this, you knew it was good. You didn't need to. That I think is the real hack of online arbitrage. All that time, and I've said this before, and I've had this conversation with a couple of friends of mine. RA for sure gives you a better margin, right? You're going to make probably a higher profit overall, but you're going to have to drive around to get it. It's not going to come to you easily, and it's not going to come to you consistently. You're going to get it in spurts. Like, you're going to go to a store and you're going to find 5 items or 10 items or maybe 20 items. And then you're going to go to the next 4 stores and find nothing. That's perfectly normal in RA, or very little even. Now, if you have a big, huge budget and you have a wide range of brands you can sell, you could probably find RA items at virtually any store. So maybe you wouldn't drill too many dry holes. But ultimately, you definitely are going to drill some dry holes. And that's a big time suck. So that's one of the reasons I really like OA. She's very tired. So, again, different strokes for different folks, right? So, sales have been pretty good. 37,000, not quite halfway through May. What will I make on the year? I don't know. I mean, if I can get my butt in gear a little better, I could see making 125 in sales this year on Amazon. I really want to do 150. I don't know if that's going to be doable or not. I'm really going to have to start buying a lot more to do that. And I could, and I might. But that kind of brings me to my next subject, which is online arbitrage. So there'll be some descriptions down below for all of you who are interested in online arbitrage leads and so on, and other resources. A couple other things I'm doing too. Long story short, for those of you who don't know, I bought thousands and thousands of online arbitrage leads over the last 2 years, and from multiple lists that I was buying them from, multiple vendors, shall we say, suppliers. And I would say I had very mixed results. I had mixed results because at one point I really didn't know what I was doing with online arbitrage. I don't think I understood it the way that I needed to understand it. And that's pretty normal. I mean, online arbitrage has a bit of a learning curve. You really have to drill down into what makes a lead good or not. But a lot of the reasons that I didn't like those leads is because they just weren't that great. And when I say they weren't that great, there was a lot of issues with them. There was issues about the profitability really wasn't quite what the person who was selling them said it was. Sometimes there was mistakes in the list, duplicates, wrong information. It didn't quite meet the metrics they said it met. You name it. There was just a lot of issues with them. And I don't know how you are, but when I get something like that, when I get a product that I'm paying money for and that I'm using to advance my business, and then it's not quite what was described, I do what probably most of you do, or some of you do. I reach out to the people who are producing the list. Excuse me 1 minute. I'm going to take care of her for a second. Sorry about that. She was about to be incredibly loud. So I would go and I would get I would reach out to whoever made the list, say, hey, this is wrong, this is incorrect. And, they would respond. And they say, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Right, okay, yep, thanks for the feedback, blah, blah, blah. And then the same mistakes would keep happening. There was, there was one mistake last year that just kept happening over the course of like 2 months. It happened probably a half a dozen times with the same store and the same, I would guess probably the same VA, and they just never got fixed. And, then I would get frustrated because I thought, well, I'm paying for these lists that I'm not even getting full value for. And not only that, they're not responsive to feedback and critiques. And, probably some of you, if you'd been faced with that situation, you probably just would have canceled the list and moved on. I did try to reach out to all of them if I had an issue and said, hey, this is, can we work on this? And after a while, I realized that it wasn't going to get any better. That no list was any better than any other one for their, at least the ones I was using. So I guess it was probably early January, right at the end of the year, last year, I decided I would start my own list. Or at least I would explore it. And, I started buying lists from people who were selling leads on Fiverr and stuff like that. And it was not great. It was very hit or miss with those particular, I probably had a half a dozen different people that sourced leads for me that I contracted with on Fiverr, and they were not, I would give them my criteria, and it wasn't really doing it for me. There was too many issues with it. I was still dealing with the issues. So at some point I decided I would start my own OA list, and I would address these because I felt like I have an analytical mind. I felt like I understood what a lot of the challenges were that some of you have and that I had, and that I could, fix some of that, make some of that better. I don't think I could fix it all, but I could fix some of it. So I started recruiting a team of VAs, and I had them start producing lists for me. And I came out here on this channel and talked about that and said, here's the criteria, here's what I need. That was at the end of January that we started. We started our first day that we set up the first day we sent out our list was the 31st, and that's our amethyst list. And since then, so now it's February, March, April, it's about 3.5 months. It seems longer. I have learned so much. It's not even funny. A friend of mine was asking me questions about the leads list and this and that. And I was like, dude, there's just no way I can tell you all this stuff because there's so much I've learned that you kind of have to be in this day to day to understand what's going on. I definitely have a new appreciation for anybody who puts out a leads list. It's not easy. And the reason it's not easy, there's several reasons it's not easy. There's a language barrier. You know, when you're dealing with VAs from overseas, that can be a challenge. There can be issues with internet connectivity and power outages for your team. That is an issue. There can be an issue of a lot of these teams a lot of these OA leads teams that are built, they go through trainings that I would assume they pay for. I don't know all the details, but I do know they go through these trainings that are run by 7-figure experienced sellers, blah, 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 whatever. Not impressed. They come out of these trainings with so many misconceptions about things. And I don't know why, but it's clear to me that a lot of these trainings are lacking in that part of the world. And again, I've never sat in on one of them, so I don't know all the details. But they come out and they're not ready really to source. And then you have team members who have worked for other people and they had a whole different set of criteria, a whole different set of things they were looking to do. And you've got to deprogram them from that. And then there's just the attention to detail that you have to give you have to make sure your team is focusing on. And that is probably the hardest part. Because as we all know, and I challenge any of you to do this, find an item that's selling on Amazon and then find it on a store website somewhere or vice versa. It is so easy to, I guess the way I should say is find it on a store website, you know, maybe a sale item, and see if you can find it on Amazon and see if you can match it up. It is so easy to make mistakes with that. We had one today where it was a set of dishcloths on the store website that the lead was submitted for, and it was washcloths. Yes, it was washcloths on the store website and dishcloths on the Amazon site. So there's the longer dish towels was the actual lead, was the actual product for sale on Amazon. But on the store website, it was just dishcloths, the little small 15 by 15, right? But on the Amazon, it was like 30 by 20. These were like, you know, decent size. And they missed it. And I caught it and I let them know, but it was like buried down in the description. And then I actually went and looked like in the reviews, there was people who complained about, gave 1-star reviews for this product saying, I thought I was getting 30 by 20 inch towels per the description. And instead I got this small little, you know, like washcloth. That kind of stuff, gang, is hard enough to explain to people who've been doing this a long, long time, let alone a team that's halfway around the world that doesn't speak the same language as you and doesn't have the same culture and the same economic situations. And you're trying to explain all this to them and make it make sense, you know, and they're trying to explain back to you what they're doing. That is a challenge for sure. And I love the people that I have working for me now. I have a team of 7 at this point, and they're great. They have a lot of skill at doing this. They bring up things, you know, and find things in a way that I hadn't thought before. But it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. And I guess for me too, because I look at it as my clients who are on this list they're just me, you know, they're like me 6 months ago, buying a list from somebody and saying, hey, this stuff needs to be right, because they're going to assume that the information is correct between the lead and store website and everything. and hopefully they're going to buy the item and, make profit on it. I treat it like it's my lead. It's my sales here at stake because, I want my clients to be profitable because so they'll keep coming back. That's good business, I think. So I take it very seriously in trying to make sure that everything's correct on the leads and blah, blah, blah. Not easy. Not easy at all. But I do find it rewarding in a way because I look at it as if I push out, 10 leads today that are really profitable and somebody, buys one of these leads, a client, and they make $75 profit on it, I just helped that person put $75 in their pocket. My team just helped them do that. That's pretty cool. And they're maybe paying themselves a salary. Maybe they have people working for them that they're paying, so they're providing employment. This is kind of a symbiotic thing here for all of us. We're all in a strange way working together to get a good result. Even the customer on the other end of those purchases on Amazon, well, they got what they were looking for. Everybody's kind of happy in this, when it works right. And I try to approach it that way when I'm working with my team and sourcing and so on. But it's been a great experience. I do think that my perspective now has definitely changed a bit. I do think you should have high expectations for anybody, though, that you buy a leads list from. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to make mistakes. They are going to make mistakes. When you have a team of people submitting hundreds and hundreds of leads to you per month, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to miss some things. You're going to look at the wrong thing. You're going to type some wrong things, whatever. But yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot to that. He says radio too loud. Yeah, that's actually a soundtrack in the back. I could probably turn it off, or at least turn it down. How's that? Let me know if that's any better. I cut it down by like 2/3 or a third. It's so low now I don't even know if I can hear it. Yeah, it's not the radio though. It's actually the loop you can play with these StreamYard videos. Just thought it'd be nice to have a little something in the background. But yeah, I think that you should have high expectations of all these people, and I have high expectations of myself. We're getting ready to do another list that's going to start very soon. We have a team in place for that, so they're kind of getting up to speed. We're ramping that up. And I think it's going to be an even better list because it's going to have a little bit even better parameters than the first one. But, it's a learning curve for sure. I've definitely learned a lot of things. I like the feedback from clients have given, even if they're telling me they're quitting. That's okay. You're going to quit. You're going to quit leads lists for all kinds of reasons. I do think, though, I would say this. I don't care whose leads list you're on. I don't care if you're paying $70 a month or you're paying $200 a month. I've even seen some lists as high as there was one site I saw, you could get a list where you were the only person on it. I think you paid about $1,000 a month for it. Not cheap, but let's say you're paying sort of that, 100 to 150. I think that you have to look at it like you're getting hundreds of leads per month delivered to you. You're also not getting probably just as many that their team went through and didn't make the cut. So you don't have to worry about those. There was problems with those. So you're paying them to cull through all those leads and give you leads that are pretty good. You don't have to be that profitable on that many of those leads to make that worth it. Because if I said to you, all right, how much money, my list, for instance, is $123 a month. So if I said to you, how much money do you need to make, we'll say profit, on that $123 to make this worth it to you? And you're going to figure in all right, we're going to spend this much. There's going to be, some items that go down in price. There's going to be some items that don't. There's going to be some items that are going to get damaged. There's going to be my cost to prep and ship this, all my fees, all this. I don't know what your number is, but it doesn't have to be very high to make it worth it for anybody's list, honestly, because you're getting at least probably 200 to 250 leads a month. I mean, you know, I'm not saying you should just take any amount of profit and say, well, profit's profit. No, it's there's an opportunity cost to putting your money into it and so on. But, you know, if I said to you, here's $123 for gas, you can, and for your time that you spend, like, let's say in stores, you know, doing RA, for instance, and you're going to pay yourself, let's say $15 an hour. So, you know, gas and $15 an hour, what are you going to get? Maybe 7-8 hours of sourcing. I don't think you're going to do any better than you would do with an OA list. I honestly don't. I think an OA list you're going to do better with, because you can just say no to so many things so easily. Whereas if you're out in RA and you're in a store, you got to go in, you got to see what they got then and scan it. And there's going to be a bunch of, you know, dry holes or things that don't really quite make the cut. Whereas with OA, you can just eliminate those. Hopefully whoever's selling the list has already eliminated a lot of those for you. And now you just drill down on it even further. So I think on a cost standpoint or time standpoint, it's really close to RA, if not better. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I'm pushing out an online arbitrage list. You guys tell me. But that could be. But I mean, I've done both, and they're not. One's not right or wrong. There's just, you know, different situations. But yeah, that's what's going on. Life's good. We're just trucking along. I got to get Karen back on here at some point, and I'm sure she will. It's just hard with her schedule. She works during the day when I like to do a lot of these shows, but she's gonna have a bunch of time off this summer. So hopefully we're gonna be able to do some shows together. Long story short, did you go back to work? No, I'm full-time an entrepreneur, because that is really the only thing that makes sense to me. I know all of you that watch, and you watch YouTube videos like this one, all the others are out there. You're all in different levels. Some of you are full-time, some of you are part-time, some of it's a hobby, whatever. I think there's value in having an 8-to-5 job. There can be, but I think most 8-to-5 jobs kind of hold you back from really succeeding too much. Now, that's not to say, you can't succeed in an 8-to-5 job, especially in certain fields and certain areas. But I look at like 8-to-5 jobs is you stick your time and energy into a business working for somebody, and there's like diminishing returns. Like maybe the first hour, let's say the first hour is worth $20. Let's say you're making $40,000 a year. And the second hour, quote unquote, could be worth that too. But even if they pay you overtime at some point, like any business out there that's reasonable is going to pay you more than $40 an hour. Like that's a very low rate to be self-employed and pay yourself. Now, I know some of you are probably saying, well, I don't pay myself that much and I can't, blah, blah, blah. I get all that. But there's so many Joe Blows out there and Sally, whatever rhymes with S, that that are doing it and really making a higher hourly rate than they could ever make it a job. I just think that's a no-brainer. If it fits you, if you want to go work somewhere for how many years, that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with it, like I said. But I think on an hourly rate, like as long as somebody else is in control of that paycheck, you're never really going to be able to make what you're fully capable of. Nor you might not be able to do anything that you really like either. That's a whole nother discussion, whole nother topic. Sally Sunshine, thank you for thanking Rob. Krillin, is that you? Oh, I think I just saw the photo. Moonshine says, Moonshine Fuel. That's a great name, by the way. Trying to build a machine that makes you money with doing as little as possible. That's the goal, right? But that's a hard machine to build, but it seems like you're do it for the amount of work you do. I would not totally disagree with that. I'm gonna put his comment up on the screen so you can see it. I wouldn't totally disagree with that. I guess where I would say, and this is the challenge for everybody, right? I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not 35 anymore. I had to whisper that last one. So the reason I say that is because there's going to come a day when, I'm not going to want to put in the same amount of time and energy, or maybe I can't put in this amount of same time and energy. I really want to spend these next 5 or 10 years spending time doing things that we really like to do. We'd like to go some places, again, some more places. Karen's been everywhere. I've been some places, but I haven't been everywhere like she has. And I don't know how to do that working a traditional 8-to-5 job. To me, the only way you can do that is if you have a job where you can be remote, be virtual, outsource things, and so on. That was not an option 20 years ago. So I didn't even think about doing that, really. I guess it was technically an option, but it was a lot harder to do. Today, it is much simpler to do in lots of different ways. Selling on Amazon, pushing out a leads list, being a YouTube star, if you want to go do that. I do not consider myself a YouTube star, not at all. I'm never on YouTube anymore. But there's so many different ways you can do that now. I think we kind of get it backwards. Like a lot of us make amount of income, whatever that is, however we're making it. And then we say, well, we will fit our life around that. Like we'll plan, like that's the most important thing. And then life comes on the outside of that. I think that's backwards. I think that's exactly backwards. I think the better solution, and I didn't come up with this, is you plan your life, what you want your life to look like, and then you mold your income around that. I mean, because what are you making the income for? Like, really, what's the point of it? And I struggle with that question my whole life, and I think a lot of us do. I mean, a lot of us just put our heads down and do it for whatever season we are in life because we feel like we have to. But I think if you do that long enough, eventually it just gets harder and harder to break out of that mindset. And eventually life breaks you out of it anyway. Like, one of a few things is going to happen to you. You're going to get old. And you're not going to be able to do it at the same level for the same amount of time that you were when you were younger. And that's going to break it. You're going to get laid off. You're going to get fired. Maybe multiple times. You're going to take a cut in pay, a cut in benefits. You're going to get sick or unhealthy, a chronic condition or something even worse. Or someone in your family is going to get sick and chronic, or someone else, or you're going to get mentally broken to the point you just can't do it anymore. Like, one of those things is going to happen to most of us at some point, maybe even multiple of those things. And my question for everybody is, when that happens and you've got exactly one bullet in the chamber, i.e. your job, right? What are you going to do? When you can't fire that bullet anymore, when that opportunity is gone or is taken from you, what are you going to do? Because that might happen to you at a time in your life that's really inconvenient. Like, it might not be on your terms. Because a lot of us think, well, I'll work till I get to point whatever. Maybe you will and maybe you won't. Life has a funny way of, taking us in a different direction we least expected. I don't want to be caught in that situation. So I don't want to be in that situation where I feel like, oh, I've got to go back to work at 60 years old because I didn't plan well for the previous 40 years, and now I'm screwed. I think that's a mistake. I think that's a trap that we all fall into. We always think we're in control of what we will be doing in the future. You're really not. You're not. The future is not promised. And even if you get there, a month, a year, 10 years, whatever, it's not going to look like you thought it was going to look. Rarely do you find people who are 70, 80, 90 years old who've lived a long life and say, yeah, it turned out exactly the way I thought it was going to. It just doesn't happen. I mean, it just doesn't happen for anybody for all kinds of reasons. So my thought is, why not in the moment, which is all we really have, is right now. That's all we have is right now. We don't have tomorrow. And yesterday's gone. We have right now. Take advantage of that and live life to whatever we think is the fullest. And take the stuff like income and mold that around it. Make that fit our life instead of the other way around. I just think that's a better way to approach it. I think that's a healthier way. I think it gives you flexibility. That's not to say to go out and be willy-nilly and think that, storms aren't going to come and you shouldn't prepare for things. I'm not saying that at all. But I think you have to decide for yourself, what do I want? What do I hope my life is going to be like 5 years or 10 years from now, 15 years? And how do I mold my income to make that happen if I get there and everything is as I think, knowing that all I really have is right now to really go after that. So, I mean, that was kind of a long answer to your comment, Moonshine. But I think we're all building that machine. Every single one of us is building the machine. And that machine is, inevitably pushing you forward in life every single day. You get up and you do some things without even thinking about it because they're just habit, they're just ritual. They have to be done. But I guess I've always, I tried to live that lifestyle. I tried to live that way for a long time when I was younger, and it never felt right to me. It never fit me. It always felt like it was the most mundane type of existence you could have, where you just did something because you felt like you had to, not because you ever wanted to. And you only did it. It was an end in of itself. Like, I got to do this so that I will have food on the table and a roof over my head and power. And those are all good things. Don't get me wrong. But what are you leading to? What are you aspiring to? I mean, are you really going to spend the rest of your life thinking, man, I really want to spend more time at work? I would argue most people who do that, they're hiding from something. They're hiding from themselves. They're hiding from their spouse, from their kids, from their family. They're hiding from addictions. They're hiding from, problems and challenges. Because rarely, most of us don't even choose our work when we work for someone else. It's just like we kind of just come into a job through some set of events. I mean, some of us do, but a lot of us don't. A lot of people don't work in what their education's in. A lot of people, when you ask them when they're in their 30s and 40s, when you were 10 years, 20 years ago, did you want to do this, whatever this is? They're like, no, I had no idea this even existed. So I just think that you have to kind of take control of what you hope your future will be like, and not just be this victim of circumstance and say, well, I'm in this comfortable rut. You'll be in that until you're not. And one day you won't be, for whatever set of reasons. And it might not be because of what you want. It's because of what somebody else said. I saw that happen with my parents when they got let go from GE after working there for multiple decades between them. And it was about 7 years earlier than they expected. They technically could have stayed, but it would have been a pretty big jump down in money. And it would made more financial sense for them to retire. Sort of, but not exactly. So, they made a decision and walked away, but was it really their decision? I mean, they kind of got pushed into it by the company, is what it is, and then that had an effect on them, that it created financial challenges for them for the next 10 years because they weren't planning on that exactly happening that way. So again, like even in their case, all that loyalty the company should have had to them, which there's no loyalty. Companies aren't loyal to workers and workers aren't loyal to companies a lot of times. That is what it is. But that didn't account for anything and they were gone. And it made everything a lot more challenging for them over the next decade or so. And they eventually came through it all, but it was not a easy set of circumstances. So, I think that, man, I had no idea we were going to get on the subject today. I think everyone should figure out what type of life they want to live and then mold and create an income source around that will provide that. I think that is far better. What's the old saying? Like, would you rather be happy making $30,000 a year or miserable making $100,000? Or fill in the numbers, whatever amount you want. I don't think money buys happiness. I think misery quickly will consume you if you're working somewhere that you really just don't like for whatever reason. You don't like the people, you don't like the work, you don't like how it makes you feel, you don't like what it is you do. That amount of misery, to me, is not worth any amount of money. That will destroy you. That will crush your soul. And it will also cascade through all your relationships with everybody else around you and just devastate everyone in your sphere, is going to feel the effect of that job on them too, not just you. And I've seen people in those situations. They're like, yeah, but I can't leave because of the money. I'm like, no, you're choosing not to leave. You're choosing. You chose that big house you were in. You could sell that house and live in a smaller house. You chose that fancy car, or to take 3 vacations instead of 1, and put your kids in private school instead of public school. I mean, you chose all those things. You may think they're necessary, but you chose them. And because of that, you're telling yourself this lie that, like, I have to keep doing this job. I have to keep doing this work because I'm making this much. I knew a guy like that. He had his own company. And he was making a good salary. He was probably making, $250,000, $300K a year, I would guess. Good salary. And this was like 15, 20 years ago. And he was miserable. He had a wife, he had a couple kids, and, he was just totally miserable. It was so sad. And, because he told me, he said, I thought once I reached like this level of income and had this, $1 million plus house and took these trips and blah, blah, blah. He said, I thought I would feel good about myself and about everything. He's like, and I don't. And I don't know what happened to him. I kind of lost touch with him. But, he was a miserable person, even though on the outside, you would think he was killing it. He was killing it. Him and his family. His wife was, she had a pretty good job too, made good money. Not quite as much as him, but she did really well too. But man, it was just issues in that household, let's say. And, you felt them even when you're around them. And I felt bad for them both because they just both seemed like miserable people. I don't even know if they're miserable with each other. I think they're just miserable with everything. And that's difficult, and I don't say the money caused it. I just think they put all their hopes in, achieving a certain level of financial success. And once they got it, it didn't fulfill them. And that made them even more upset and more miserable because, they realized not only did it not fulfill them, they were also wrong about it fulfilling them. So it was like a double whammy. But anyhow, wow, that was a long diatribe. So sorry. None of you probably tuned in for that. I hope all of you are doing well. I don't know who still watches this channel now. I recognize some people from back in the day. And I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for the journey I've had on YouTube over the years. I would like to do more of it again. I'm at a time capacity. My time has gotten a bit squeezed in especially the last few months. So I'm choosing not to do it. There's that choice again, right? But it's not because I'm not choosing all of you that watch and comment and have interacted over the years. It's just I'm choosing to put my time into other things that I think will be more valuable to me and to Kara and to our relationship than YouTube. But that's, don't take that as a knock on any of you, because it really isn't. I enjoyed probably 99.9% of all the interactions I had on YouTube, and I do appreciate you all. So anyway, there'll be some links for some of the stuff I talked about down in the description. So if you're interested in any of that, if you're interested in getting ungated in brands, by the way, there's a free list down in the link below. Doesn't cost you anything. And every day you'll get 10 ASINs, and you can try those. They're auto ungates. Doesn't mean you'll get ungated, but it means you can. They don't require invoices. And I think that if you check out those ASINs, it's a free email. It comes out Monday through Friday. Those 10, you'll start adding brands. That'll help you sell better on Amazon, which is always a good thing. The conventional wisdom is if you get more brands, you can sell more brands on Amazon. That seems to be true overall. But anyway, so check that out if you're interested in that. So I just started doing that this week. So kind of having some fun with that too. It's kind of cool to find new brands every day. All right. But anyway, again, I appreciate all of you. Love you all. Hope you all have an awesome rest of your week and weekend coming up. Find what makes you happy and mold your money around that. It's the other way around. So that's my tip for the day, so to speak. All right, everybody, take care, and I'll see you soon.